Hello and welcome to this introductory video detailing the Fidelity program as provided by the Home-Based Family Therapy Partnership. This year, the Kansas Department of Aging and Disability Services, along with the managed care organizations, put into place a new policy to ensure that those providing in-home family therapy and billing the family therapy code with the HK specifier had received the KSU HBFT training and are following the HBFT model. This Fidelity program was created by the KSU Home-Based Family Therapy Partnership in accordance with the new KDADS policy. These policy changes include completing Fidelity requirements, doing family therapy only in the home, not the community or office, and billing for no more than 90 minutes. The purpose of the Fidelity program is to look at how well clinicians are following the concepts learned in the HBFT core training and how this impacts their professional quality of life. The goal is to reduce burnout and increase quality of life among HBFT clinicians. The foundation of the HBFT model is that both families and clinicians start the home-based family therapy process with their own strengths. The family's resilience and the clinician's specialized training are both valuable in helping families to reach clinical goals. However, therapy conducted in an in-home setting provides both challenges and advantages that do not occur when therapy happens in the office. There are 5 components that research has found effective in working with clients in a home-based setting. The HBFT model focuses on bridging these 5 components with the strengths families and clinicians bring to therapy through the use of self-care, supervision, and self-of-the-therapist strategies. For environment and context, this is the natural environment of the home and community, which can provide valuable resources for therapy. For the therapeutic relationship, this is a fluid, continuous relationship that helps the therapist transform the space from the client's home to therapy back to the client's home. For the focus of clinical work, this is the contextualized view of the child's behavior that leads to a broader approach to the child's therapeutic issues. And for the family roles and expectations, as well as the therapist roles and expectations, the family is the host in their home, while the therapist is a guest who facilitates a collaborative process with the family to create a safe therapeutic space. What connects the therapist's advanced clinical degree training and the family's resilience to the 5 common HBFT components are the additional components of self-care, self-of-the-therapist, and supervision. For self-of-the-therapist, it is important as a clinician to know yourself and be constantly aware of the impact the environment has on you because the level of comfort a clinician feels is related to the level of therapeutic alliance. For self-care and supervision, both of these are important for maintaining a clinician's professional quality of life. The Outcome Rating Scale, or the ORS, and the Session Rating Scale, or the SRS, are brief measures looking at the family's experience of well-being and the relational bond between client and clinician respectively. The ORS is useful in establishing and evaluating goals for treatment, while the SRS helps to assess how well the clinician and client agree on those goals and the treatment process. The self-care input looks at how many self-care activities the client has engaged in on a weekly basis. The ProQual measures compassion satisfaction, burnout, and secondary traumatic stress on a quarterly basis. Both the self-care input and the ProQual are completed through the HBFT self-care website. The HBFT model fidelity evaluation looks at how well clinicians are following the HBFT components learned from the core training. The ORS, SRS, and the self-care input data will need to be reported once every month through an electronic reporting form that will be located on the HBFT website. Since the ProQual is taken quarterly, clinicians will report their ProQual scores on the electronic reporting form for the month that they are prompted to complete the measure. If a clinician should stop seeing clients in the home, they must inform the HBFT partnership. Should that clinician then resume in-home family therapy at a later time, they must contact the HBFT partnership in order to return to the Fidelity program. For the Outcome Rating Scale, or the ORS, this should be completed at the beginning of each family session. This is to be completed by a parent of the identified client. This scale is helpful in assisting with treatment planning and goal setting with the family, and it is important that this is administered as part of a conversation with the family. For the session rating scale, or the SRS, this is completed at the end of every family session. This scale is useful in assessing and improving therapeutic relationship. Like the ORS, it is to be filled out by a parent of the identified patient. It is also to be administered as part of a conversation with the family. Both the self-care input form and the ProQual will be completed using the self-care website, and this link will take you to the HBFT self-care website where you can see what the self-care input form as well as the ProQual measure looks like. For the professional quality of life scale, this measures compassion satisfaction, burnout, and secondary trauma. Average to high levels of compassion satisfaction are desirable, and average to low levels of burnout and secondary traumatic stress are also desirable. Having higher compassion satisfaction and lower levels of burnout and secondary traumatic stress are indicators of a good professional quality of life. The purpose of the HBFT model fidelity evaluation is to monitor how the model is being used in practice. The ORS and the SRS scores help to check the validity of the evaluation scores. Clinicians will be taking this monthly through an online survey link which will be emailed to participants. So what happens when a clinician does not meet fidelity will be addressed in later slides. However, there are 3 levels to determining fidelity. The first one is meeting high fidelity, the second is meeting fidelity with consultation, and the third is not meeting fidelity. Clinicians start the program meeting fidelity and continue to meet fidelity unless their scores fall below a certain point. So meeting high fidelity indicates that fidelity scores are high enough that additional consultation is not necessary. Meeting fidelity with consultation is for those who are meeting fidelity but whose scores are not high enough to reach high fidelity. Clinicians meeting this status will have 4 opportunities per month to participate in the group consultation conference call, but are only required to call in once per month until they meet the requirements for high fidelity. If the clinician should fall below a certain point based on their scores, that clinician is considered to not be meeting fidelity and will work directly with the HBFT partnership staff to work towards meeting fidelity. Clinicians will receive individualized consultation and take an online HBFT training. Clinicians will have 90 days to work towards meeting fidelity before being removed from the list of those approved to bill the HBFT Family Therapy Code 90847HK. Once a clinician is meeting fidelity, their name will be restored to that list. So it is important to note that anytime a participant is not meeting fidelity requirements, they could be removed from the list of approved providers and will not be able to bill the enhanced rate. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact the HBFT partnership using any of the above methods. Our staff is here to answer questions and offer support to everyone in the Fidelity program.